thing to put it as. If something falls down, then the dominoes will fall with it. We know that for DCG, scaling there too, Clement, despite Lucian Nami, right? Like, we look at that team and we go, well, there are some good scaling elements. AoE is huge. Once those ulti buttons are down on J-Team, I have a big question as to how the rest of the fight goes, Mr. Chu.
Yeah, I see this team, like, J-Team needs to get a couple of picks right at the start of the fight. I feel like they have a lot of trouble actually going through some of these targets here. Like, Swain is going to be massive in this team fight. Like, there's a lot of short-range targets. Outside of Senna, they're all basically close to melee range. So Swain can have a massive ultimate. Same thing for Gameplank. I feel like he has a range advantage here. And even though you don't think of Lucian as kind of a long-range champion, with Nami, he kind of is. So I just feel like the comp is very difficult to execute for JT. I am willing to be surprised. I like games that are decided by mechanical prowess. If I'm a coach, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with the draft.
Well, Clement used to be a coach, so, you know, you have every right to say that. Your credibility continues to soar here in the PCS, so I feel like
You're buttering me up too much.
I'm not buttering you up to say something bad, you know, I promise.
Okay.
Oh, for once, actually just giving you a compliment without anything on the side. Hey, the Qiyana jungle. This is where you got to start me off because I think we're all interested to see how this one goes. I have seen one throughout the split, but I'm just kind of shocked to see it come out when we know that lethality is kind of at a weak point and assassins in jungle are building very differently.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this one goes as well. I'll be honest, I did not catch this in my research of the split. Did not expect to see a Qiyana
That's
here.
very fair.
I feel like there's a possibility for Qiyana to work because she's not purely about assassination. She actually has a lot of teamfight crowd control here.
Okay, well, hey, first gang's coming in really early. Yep. I know you had to drop a little bit there, Clement, as the white flag goes up. Partnered with a level 2 gank mid is the innovation we expect out of DCG. As, wow. Well, they hit 2 first, and Lil V was a bit too far forward.
Yeah, it gets absolutely decimated in that one, and you know, going back to that early level 2 play, Uniboy obviously knew that something like that was coming. He did get the early ward down, so is able to push up while remaining safe at the same time. What I was talking about with Qiyana is that, you know, outside of just bursting down targets, which is much harder to do this patch, she does have that sort of teamfight utility that can give you a great teamfight in the river situation here. So maybe that's what they're pining for, but I'm not sure. I just feel like J-Team, like, this is such a brittle composition. Like, DCG, their members, Swain is difficult to kill, Diego can kind of hop around the battlefield and everything like that, so I just feel like the key thing for both of these squads is to get the first shot in.
At each other?
Yes, the first strike is really important in team fights. Whoever gets the damage in first, I think will just obliterate the opponent.
Which is once again a different angle, you know, a different angle to our lovely 12-11 day and our debut, Chris Carter and Woody. That's who I'm looking at the moment because they're about to get an unexpected visitor. Kongyuan is level 4 and down in this bottom lane. However, nice positioning in the lane, and Clement right now, it looks like it's at a pretty even state, so Kongyuan backs away, and Chris Carter and Woody actually into the ward in the tri-brush. Gonna have a nice little heads up here in their early game.
Yep. Just pretty slow and calm here across the board. I'm really not looking forward towards anything until Hana might prove me wrong. He's going back. I feel like this is a kind of wait till 6 game and see if you can find a kill with Cannon Barrage plus the Nami tidal wave.
And Kongyuan might actually put a flash here. He does! Nesty with his own. The flag goes up. That's jungle flash for mid, and that pressure might be revisited here as Kongyuan finally gets on the board.
Yep, small win there definitely for J-Team on that one. Easy to see if they can snowball kill onto Nesty. Meanwhile, we're just kind of waiting for things to develop. I feel like Aatrox is one of those champions as well that is very much reliant on chunking people down with a single rotation. So his win rate this split has not been looking good. Like in solo kill, a lot of people have actually been switching over to Eclipse rather than just keeping for the core drinker, because you kind of need more damage to make that rotation count.
Yeah, it feels like as we look back towards the top lane, hold my thought, Leaky flashes away. Oh god. Good little start here from Driver, and that's now another summoner burnt by J-Team. So Clement, it's these small wins that are making an impact, and I dare say that, as you said, as a lot of people are saying, level 6, to reiterate, is what we want to see. So it does feel like we're getting close to that point. Uniboy now has a Spirit Rush. Kongyue will have himself the ultimate as well. It's been so long for Kiana. Clement, I've even got to look up the ability name. Oh my god. I used to know it. Shape, yes. Edge of Exile, yes, I got it. Supreme Display of Talent. Oh, well, there we go. It's an ultimate that is very wordy, very lengthy, you know? Kind of like Hostile Takeover at the moment.
It fits the character well as well. Like, if you've watched the character introduction video, she had a lot to say. And
oh, yeah.
She was looking right at the camera when she said it, so...
Well, the problem was, Clement, she was, you know, literally the Legend of Korra. It's like the last airbender.
Yeah.
It's like, let me tell you about all the elements.
Yeah, it was, her predisposition is like just super bratty queen that's trying to look after her crown or something, so very arrogant, very in your face. In the meantime, DCG going to pick up a bot Drake with their advantage in lane here. Kind of expected out of this one, and I you know, respect JT for kind of backing off as well. I felt like for DCG, the best avenue was definitely to get a global kill down in bot lane, but they're flipping that around and going for Leaky instead.
Yeah, so Leaky still has his ulti for himself. That means the wave going to be thinned out, but 2 ultis already burnt. Charm down as well. Kongyue doesn't have his own, but doesn't need it. First Blood goes over to Driver, and his lane now set up for success. Clement, Leaky doesn't have TP to come back and catch the wave.
Yeah, beautiful stuff here. Leaky lost a massive trade earlier on to Driver, and Driver coming back with the TP, able to sync up very well with his jungler and the mid laner to get this one down. So I feel like JT, yeah, I kind of criticized them for this draft because I felt like it was going against the meta, but hey, if you can find the edge to build the damage items to cut through the patch, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. But do you want to see a bit of time here, Clement? Because I didn't ask you too much about how this translates as the game goes on. As you said, like, it's those ultis, it's whoever pulls the trigger first. But for J-Team, do you put them on a bit of a timer, or do you feel like it's kind of even across the board?
Oh, I would say definitely on a bit of a timer. I feel like if you go into the Uber late game and, you know, Swain starts building Zanyas, you almost can't deny him the second proc of the Demon form, which is just a bunch of damage on a bunch of low-range champions. I feel like Swain alone can probably wipe your team down to 40% HP just with one ultimate. So it's very hard to play that, and you also have to consider just the insane range that Gameflink does get. I know J-Team has a fair bit of scaling themselves, especially with the Senna. I just don't think that it's quite comparable to the other tools that DCG has on the roster.
And DCG as well, they only have to cut through one tank. As speaking of a bruiser up in the top lane, excuse me, Hana keeps visiting up here. Now you got to give it to him, Clement. He really wants Leaky to succeed in this lane, but look at what he does by showing himself. Kongyue has a supreme display of talent. That was beautiful. Kongyue coming in clutch. He's eaten up as well. Enzo saves his jungler's life, and with that shield, Lil B healing up too. That's going to be all she wrote. Under the turret, no more targeting here as Enzo's still going to get rooted up, and he should be going down. At the very least, trying to W out of there, but Enzo's just trying to buy time here. He knows he's going to die. It's just about who to. In the end, it's the Hana, but what a great dive from J-Team to keep it going.
That was absolutely beautiful mechanics from Kongyue. He goes in and he doesn't use all his crowd control at once. He baits out the cleanse from Kriskata, and then he uses the supreme display of talent to get the guaranteed stun. It's such a beautiful stutter step right there for him to guarantee the kill right off the bat. And, you know, good job on Enzo there to drag out the fight. Let's watch this again. He goes in waits for the cleanse. Oh, actually, he just cleanses early. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. Korea gets the job done, but that cleanse was... He didn't really need to wait for the cleanse. Kind of awkward right there. But, you know, he gets the correct crowd control chain off. And then you have Enzo just wasting time here. In the meantime, while Ari gets a free plate. So, this is really well done by J-Team. Super smooth.
And that's going to be J-Team pulling up a bit of a gold lead. We'll come back to live. And we're at about 2K. Clement, 2,000 at 10 minutes into the game. And I want to pull the attention of where that's actually on. It's on the jungler that we weren't expecting. Kongyue having the kill. Yes, it's equalized, but he's now got an Umbral Glaive. He's a bit far from CS, but we'll be catching up. Or maybe I should be saying it is on the bottom side of the map because Lil V is doing pretty well in the lane. Plates were taken, both mid, both top, and even the bot side. It's kind of like some global pressure that J-Team have been applying, despite going up against a global GP, which for Leaky hasn't done as much across the map.
Yeah, I actually pretty surprised about how close Leaky is keeping in this matchup. We have to remember that he also gets extra gold from Parlay, so he's really not that far behind. He's also got a call right there, so Leaky definitely playing for the long game in this one. And again, we have to say that J-Team, with all the lethality that is being built across the board, does hit some limitations, I think, later on. So they're still looking to snowball as hard as possible. The river is where a lot of this is going to happen. You know, the supreme display of skill can just get you an instant knockback into stun. So I still feel like that's the moment that they're going to strike. Basically wait for DCG to go for the Drake and then start picking off kills, get a reset with the Ari.
Kind of nice that for once we don't have to talk about getting set up around the neutrals, right? Feels like this time around J-Team can approach when they want. And the Dragon's up and ready. They have control of vision for the time being, but for DCG, they're interested in something else, and that's onto Uniboy. Hana starting to move across this river. And setting up the mid-wave is going to help start this off. Herald down as well, Clement, so a bit of gold to share across with Nesty and himself. But for the meantime, I mean, J-Team are still posturing aggressively, and that Herald only go to Hana, so Nesty is not able to benefit.
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird one, to be honest. I'm a little bit surprised that Hana dropped that one so early. I feel like that was just okay, we want to go for Drake, but he didn't really get the fork down either. So this is still an open situation where I feel like J-Team is very happy to contest. So I don't think that Herald got as much done as DCG would have wanted it to. A bit of a weird Herald, to be honest.
And this Dragon starts up, though. I mean, weird Herald aside, at least now for DCG, they're ready to fight. But Dragon's gone. Okay, never mind. They're not ready to fight. DCG back away, and J-Team will hold on to their gold lead and now pick up a neutral objective. Leaky sticks around on the top side. And again, not committing the ultimate here, Clement. So J-Team, for a team on a timer, still keep playing away at it.
Yeah, that was definitely a weird sequence of events. I feel like DCG definitely had the opportunity to maybe hold on to the Herald a little bit longer. Maybe it was timing out, but you know, they didn't get the fork going with it whatsoever, and J-Team are happy to keep on poking them away with it.
I mean, it's getting to the point where the poke is getting better on the bottom side, though. Let's talk about that, because Clement, Lil V and Enzo right now are in a comfortable position. Serrated Dirk picked up from the dive before, and Chris Carter and Woody started this lane so aggressively. It was such a great level 2 trade, but it's turned back around, and once again, Woody, as he walks on in, the tidal wave coming through. Now it might turn once more, but Enzo with a great gobble up. Lil V will take that shield and run with it, but for Chris Carter and Woody, their ultimates are still down, both in tandem, as the culling was used a little bit earlier.
And I do want to point out that Kriskata is going for an early executioner here. Kind of an interesting build. We don't see this all that much from the Lucian, but definitely looking for one-shot potential on the side of Little V. He doesn't want him to get a second rotation down.
I think you're looking at Chris Carter, who's probably pretty frustrated with how this game started out. You know, again, another Lucian army lane that I've seen globally, Clement, that haven't come through the laning phase absolutely pummeling. And having said that, they are 30 CS up, but it is a Tahm Kench center. You know, the gold value of a center still going to be massive. Lil V feels like he's in a good position, but maybe Uniboy doesn't, as Hana tries to engage mid. Spirit Rush has to be used, and Kongyue isn't there in time. We just keep seeing these small windows, back and forth, back and forth. Again, Clement, I ask you, like, these objectives, you know, they're not spicing up. We are getting towards the mid-game now. I need to kind of know when J-Team commits further to pulling the trigger.
I feel like they're still very comfortable just playing through the bottom side. But I think for DCG as well, if they get to trade objectives, they're happy too. I don't think they're too concerned about just, you know, trading Drake for Herald. They've got both of them. They keep within 2K. I think they're good going forward. So overall, the most important thing, if I'm JT, I'm still looking to get a big team fight win off of the Dragon fight. I feel like that's the best scenario to put it. Obviously, the Heralds are both gone, so the Drakes are gonna be where they really want to do this. And I feel as for this trade, DCG definitely has gotten the better side of it. They're trading a full turret, basically a completely full turret, for a turret that's already badly damaged in the bot side.
Yeah, worthwhile with the extra charge on top as well, right? So, 1 for 1. Gold still in the favor of J-Team, but you're right, that trade for DCG balances things a little better. But at the very least, as you're talking about Dragons, we've got a minute 45 until that spawns. I want to pay my attention to some of these first items getting built because we do get the full Assassin Kiana this time around, Clement. Kongyue has gone for the Eclipse. I believe you were talking about that a little bit before.
Yeah, I was talking about it on Aatrox, but we have seen Eclipse just being bought more by Assassins. It is a more helpful item in terms of getting sustained damage. You can get multiple procs, so lots of shields, and you can follow up on targets better. So if you're not killing someone with one burst, then at least you can make your second rotation that much easier to hit. And that goes with the popularity of it.
And Clement, look at the comp he's going up against. Like, you're running full lethality, and my conversation started was more towards the side of, like, we saw Kha'Zix in the LPL. I know we've also seen a couple of Kianas too elsewhere, but it's been like this Gore Drinker build. It's been like this Bruiser, because people have been complaining about lethality items. People haven't been too happy.
Yeah.
So,
it definitely is the case.
I feel like, you know, kind of moving on, that Kongyue this time around, as you said, that burst potential is quite real, but who's going to stop him? You know, who in that team can survive Kiana burst as these items start stacking up?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a race to the bottom, because on the other side, who's going to survive Swain with an exhaust right here? True. So there's a lot of damage coming in. I just feel like whoever gets the critical first crowd control down is going to win. And the key members that we should be watching for are, I would say, Aqua Prison. I would say the E coming out from Senna can catch people out very easily. I think it does come down to a bit of a dodgeball fight. Here we go.
Well, there's one. Hey, dodge not succeeded. Nesty there, but oh!
Two-man?
Kiana in the back line. It's Kongyue, and that ulti as it goes through. Now they're relying on Driver, but the sustain wears off, and DCG, no one dies. Woody with some good healing here, and Clement, look at how much was burned from both teams, but Uniboy still with his ulti available. It times out. All 10 ultimates down, but Dragon begins anyway.
Whew, that was so incredibly close for J-Team. Great zoning by DCG, but they're going for a second try with the full TP.
TP going to be on 5 different people. Drive is here without his ulti. Takes the first one down. The knock up, the flash away. Uniboy joining in. The action finally starts boiling over as J-Team pull out their 4th kill of the game. They open up the Dragon, but the response for DCG is going to be to push fast, push hard, and get somewhat of a trade.
Yeah, that was a beautiful response from Driver right there, recognizing that all the ultimates are down. He's perfectly okay to go for this flank and comes in, kind of saves the day here. I don't think they mind losing that mid lane tower that was so low. We're going to watch this fight again. Again, these are sort of like knife edge fights. Whoever lands the first crowd control is highly likely to just finish off the entire fight. We'll watch this. I think there was a little bit of you know, J-Team not being able to reach the backline in unison. Very good zoning by DCG. Nesty stands right there, and they also layer the cannon barrage down, so Ari isn't able to get into the backline. Honestly, if Uniboy just got 1 kill, he probably could have finished off the entire three-man backline. Afterwards, DCG kind of forget about Driver, and I would call this a small J-Team win overall.
With a Dragon as well, and the blood that turns into gold, absolutely. I mean, it is still only 1,500, but Dragon starts stacking, and with that movement speed, For Kongyue, especially going to be super important as Lilfley just walks up into an Acro prison. He knows Driver's there, but Enso has to devour him and save his life. Second time he's done that, Enso on point this game. And Clement, I kind of wanted to come back as we see, you know, more and more items getting picked up. Oh God, I sound like a broken record. In LPL this, in LPL that. Once again, Swain mid has been buying Imperial Mandate more often than not. So, you know, I know you're talking about Nesty's damage before, but it's going to take a couple more fights and a couple more items before we see this Swain get into a position where, you know, he can get that ultra late game like you're talking about.
Yeah, it does a lot of extra damage. Like, it really helps with your W, where you're getting for that Imperial Mandate. We've also seen things like Leandri's Anguish being picked up, Everfrost sometimes around as well. Ooh, good catch.
But it's only that. The trade doesn't extend further than that. Uniboy not willing to commit the ultimate. J-Team desperate for this mid turret. You can see it in their eyes, but minion waves are getting cleared quite instantly here with Chris Carter with Nesty. And that gives him a bit of time to move to the bottom lane. Driver might be in a bit of trouble. Hana's moving in. Cannon Barrage burnt down, and Leaky now chasing after him. Driver for the turn onto this GP. The setter ulti helping out. Lil B thanks for the hand, but Driver needs a bit more as Enso comes on in. Hana wants to reset the heal up the tidal wave, and Nesty helps with that. The Sulfur in the middle. Supreme display of talent is nothingness as DCG have already started off the fight with a couple of dead bodies. And with the Ghost chasing up, the Never Move about to come in. Uniboy is next on the menu. A great Acro Prison, and DCG are back in it.
And that's what I said. Who's going to take down the Birdman? He just gets to walk in on 4 people, full sustain afterwards. And
oh, yeah.
That's the problem with running lethality on this team. J-Team have a lot of champions that are good at, you know, instant burst damage. Once that rotation is down, they have nothing against the Swing.
As you were saying in draft, like, you were a bit hesitant on J-Team's side because of how hard this window was. It fails, and DCG snap them up. Clement, the gold lead, finally back in their favor. And with Baron in their hands at 22 minutes, we'll look again because it was Driver in a side lane after mid was cleared, pushing too far forward.
Yeah, Driver actually played this pretty well outside of the fact he was obviously in this position. EA is able to like drag out for a very, very long time, but I think the key factor to this loss here was just the positioning. You have your entire backline and a lot of low HP targets getting caught here by Nesty, plus the tidal wave coming over the wall from the Nami, and J-Team are just instantly obliterated. They can't fight in that corridor, they can't fight through the AoE, being so close to Swain, and he also just lands this beautiful crowd control to just chase everyone down. So well played by Nesty here.
As we come back to live, hello. Okay. Well, Woody's dead. Kongyue finds a pick, and I guess that's the other pivotal part, as Nesty might be caught out, rooted down with ice thanks to Kongyue. Cullen comes through to divert the play, but Driver's already on top of Nesty, and with the Demon Flare already out, this guy knows he's about to meet his doom once again. J-Team with a good couple of picks, and death timers are creeping up on us, Clement. That's going to be a dead mid laner when Dragon spawns.
Oh, this is such a fun game to actually watch because everything is just about turning the wrong corner and dying instantly. We talked about DCG and their problems in the past, and it's mainly been this issue. It's been, okay, people need to ward, they go for it, and they get caught, and they kind of lose the tempo across the map. So we'll see how DCG actually try to fix this one because they don't have a lot of people that can ward easily here. Like, it's not completely on Woody. That was not an unreasonable turn to make, given that Nesty was right around the corner. But Kongyue gets his due.
It's crazy though, right? Like, that's the power of Kiana. I'm glad we get to see more than just team fighting ulti. The burst that comes through an assassin that Kongyue was hoping to pilot when he picked up this Kiana. He's now 3-0-3 after the kill, going towards Sorelda's Grudge for the third item too. So we are going to get that ulti with maximum slowing impact, to say the least. We come back to live. DCG actually the ones on the Dragon first. Looks like J-Team didn't have the setup there, Clement, so a 2 apiece. It will continue to be a late soul game. We'll continue to probably talk more about the Baron as it expires in 35 seconds for DCG. And, you know, these objectives, again, Clement, that's where the majority of these fights are happening.
Everyone's trying to pick each other off here, and I would say in terms of, like, just the river fights, I do think that DCG have the better team fight setup. They have more range to play around when they're actually in the river. And for J-Team, it's really about how they can play off flanks and the angle of attack for Kongre. That's probably the most important part. If Kongre can start the fight off with a 3-man ultimate, then sure, J-Team can make their way past ramps, they can make their way past barrels, but everything really does come down to him and his angle of attack.
But the survivability as well is increasing as the game goes on. You know, Clement, we've got a Giant's Belt of Health here for Nesty. We've already got some armor for Hana, and I'm sure like a couple more of those defensive items will manifest. And the Zhonya's too. You know, what's the best Kiana counter? Well, if you go golden for a couple of seconds, she can't hit you. So for DCG, the game continues to be, you know, kind of what you set up, like an easier setup for the red-sided team when J-Team have such limited windows. As you said, watch Kongyue 3-0-3, and he now has the Sereldas picked up. So that 3 item has hit pretty hard. 2 minutes 10 until the next objective. Seems like we're just going to farm up and wait for this one and see if J-Team can pull it off.
Yeah, I think at this point, J-Team's goal is to go in and just pop Kriskata in the back and hopefully clean up the rest of the team afterwards. The solo lanes at this point, I don't think they're very much afraid of Kongyue. Leaky can kind of cleanse himself anyway, and he's a beefy boy. The other side for Swain is he's already getting very tanky at this point, and of course the Zanya is there. He also has a demon form, so I think for Kongyue it has to come down to little sorry, not Lil V, to Lucian as the primary target here.
That's okay, yeah. If Kriskata dies, that's a 2-item Lucian that goes down with it as well, so it's kind of important. Clement, I'll also say, earlier in the day, you were very intent on people killing Anami. Woody, once again, seems kind of pivotal in this composition when there is already so much healing enhancement. And, you know, Woody, in that last fight, showed that he was the difference between life and death for 2 members of DCG.
Yeah, for sure here. Nami, very easy to pick off. I don't think that there are going to be that many opportunities for him to face check. Like, you do have a Swain, so whenever anything gets kind of tight, you can always just use Vision of Empire and just clear Fog of War that way. So I don't think he should be caught out that much. If I'm JT, I'm not really banking on that to happen much more. I think what we're going to see is DCG just with kind of their raw stats and how they can open up the terrain with someone like Nesty. They're going to be forcing their way into River a lot earlier, and it's about J-Team finding a way to enter second. I feel like J-Team needs to use the objectives to do the work for them.
Well, they've got one in 15 seconds. We finally get to see the Baron play. DCG have pushed mid and are moving up top side. But it's about this pick here. As you can see, Enzo already with the consume. Ulti down here for the Tahm Kench once again as DCG turn for the fight, and Hana still waiting. Seeming a bit angsty here as he wants Enzo to walk into him. But once again, waves are in order here. DCG, maybe bot side will push up, but there is a 4-man group for now. Clement, you can also see Leaky's behind them. They want mid.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to force down mid as deep as possible and then transition to elsewhere on the map. I don't think they're seriously after the towers. It's just kind of a force back into a rotational move here, and it's worked out quite well for now. Hana's going to be completely fine against Driver at this juncture. And what we should be paying attention to is just how Imperial Mandate does function in these rotations. If you get tagged down and someone hits you, that's 20% extra movement speed that Nesty and an ally can get to chase you down. So J-Team do have to be pretty careful in these transitions. Is if someone gets left alone, it's actually very possible for Nami and Swain to enable a chase down.
Well, everyone's grouped up for now, so it makes it a little bit harder than, as you say, for DCG. Driver the one who's going head first. Enzo is sticking by Lil V. As once again, good poke coming through, but Enzo has to eat out. You can see Kongyue is just in his belly. Down goes the ulti once more. Enzo has been using it off cooldown at this point, and the cooldown ain't that bad. But DCG, the response, well, Clement, actually seems to be all 5 ultimates. DCG, so hang on, that's worth.
Yeah, DCG definitely jumped the gun right there. J-Team are like, well, we don't have to engage into that one. They let them clear all of their abilities and just take over the entire map. So I actually felt like Nesty was he wasn't going down right after that, and I feel like DCG just they didn't have the coordination to conserve on their abilities.
That's yeah, that's something. I mean, what can Tahm Kench do? You know, he burns one ulti, DCG burned 5, and as Leaky, he spots the back in here. I think it was a little bit too late. Driver was back in the nick of time. Means that DCG reset, but at very least, we're in the late game. So those ultis don't have as much impact as they would earlier on, Clement, but 30 minutes into the game, still down for a little while. Some of them coming back up. We're still preparing for Baron because Dragon was taken by Kongyue after the failed play. And in 30 minutes with 10 kills, I'm just waiting for the one pick that changes everything because teams are pretty even in gold. We are at a pretty stable point. And once again, as you quoted at the start of the game, it is about who pulls the trigger first and I guess to the most efficient degree to add in.
Yeah, I almost feel like at this point, even if J-Team does pull the trigger first, they also need a perfect shot.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of members on DCG that I don't think go down quite easily here.
Okay.
You have Hana coming in, going for the Guardian's Angel as well here. So there's limited targets. Again, I think the bot lane is going to be the primary focus for these squads. Oh, but DCG can also try to catch out.
So can't eat himself up as now onto Little V. He's in a tight corridor. Pretty awkward here as Hana misses the engage. Two-man ultimate from Kongyue is good, but Nesty survives, flashes in with the Demon Flare, and he found the AD. Lil V eaten up once more. Enzo saving his life. As look at Uniboy trying to carry this with Spirit Rush over the wall. Orbit Deception onto Nesty. Sets up for Driver. A knock up, knock back as he goes gold with the dunk down. Perfect. Uniboy the charm. This Ari comes out of nowhere, Clement, and maybe J-Team's shining hope.
Well, Krishkada's looking to turn it around 5v4, though. Interesting move. But J-Team are going to usher them away. I don't think they're going to be confident enough with these HP values to start Baron, so they're just trying to bait around the corner. DCG will have none of it, though. That was a very interesting fight. I honestly felt like at the start of it, Nesty, you could see just how tanky he was with the ultimate, was able to stand there for a very, very long time. But Uniboy just dancing on the edges, tagging with the E, and chunking him down with the Q is able to get a critical play here.
I mean, it kind of changed what we're talking about. Like, a little bit at this point as a center you expect. Uniboy comes out of left field. He's a 3.5 item Ari. And I said it before, Clement, you know, there's a lot of targets available considering that there's not a frontline tank. You know, the tankiest member seems to be Nesty, maybe Hana as well as a bruiser. We'll watch again because J-Team were caught with their pants down a little bit with DCG having numbers advantage. Yeah,
it starts out with the flash onto Enzo, and after watching Kongyue's engage, I felt like this was actually a bit of a failed engage, and once more DCG overplay their hand here. Nesty goes into 3, and there's not a very clear target, nor a very optimal use of Cannon Barrage. That Cannon Barrage, I don't think did anything, catching or stopping anyone. So, I'll be honest, I don't think J-Team actually succeeded with Kongyue's engage. He burned a flash for that one. There was no follow-up whatsoever. But on the flip side, DCG once again overcommitted on their ultimate usages. And this is something we talked about at the start of the broadcast is when teamfights last a long time, actually portioning out your crowd control and your abilities starts to matter more. In the past, you just throw everything and the teamfight's already over. But in this patch, you do have to keep on to things, and you do have to use things in unison. So I think DCG are showcasing that, you know, maybe their team fight is not where it needs to be just yet.
Yeah, it's a fair point, right? This team was, what would you say, Clement, a fairly base tempo team in spring?
Yeah, I would definitely say they were tempo. Like, they had the team fight components, but I don't think they ever brought it together where you would call them, you would categorize them as team fighting as their main strong point.
I mean, they're at a point now where this is what the meta is going to be consistently like. Slower games, longer games, games that require the 5v5. As the DCG grouping up in River right now, it's all about clearing the vision. They want the 5v5 to come to them. They want Leaky with setup, and as Baron starts here and starts going down quickly, this is where we could flip it all. Lil V has the Umbral Glaive, and so does Kongyue. They're running in. The vision, they know where it is. Uniboy flashes in immediately. Look at that ulti! Kongyue this time, Clement, I think it's fair to say that he got it. Looking for the reset as Hana, but Enzo denies it once again. This Tahm Kench looking clutch as all of a sudden J-Team with limited windows, limited timers, limited moments, Clement, they get it right where it needs to be. Kongyue comes in clutch, and Uniboy was definitely the core carry.
Oh, that was just so beautiful to watch. He comes in over the wall and gets the 4-man. The most critical targets we were talking about is that backline between the Lucian and the Nami. He hits both of them onto the wall, and that's just all the damage gone from DZG. Massive play right there. I feel like DZG did the correct play in trying to bait them over, but they weren't really able to utilize things like the barrel chains very well because JT just attacked them so quickly.
Okay, flash, I mean, Uniboy's confidence, the mid-jungle of J-Team once again standing up trumps. We'll look at the replay here because this was over in a blink of an eye, Clement. This wasn't a long team fight.
Yeah, Woody flashes to the left side immediately, and then that just gives the opening for Kongyue. He hits the 4-man across the wall right there. Kriskata has to leave the fight immediately, and you can see that the setup there just wasn't there for DCG. You know, they should have been able to punish a little bit more with the tidal wave, with the barrage, with the barrel setups, but JT just went straight ahead. JT, no hesitation, flash in from mid-jungle to close the gap, and DCG didn't get any of the terrain advantage.
And now their backs are against the wall. Baron in the hands of J-Team. Looks like a very different game when DCG are forced to check each and every brush. You can see that on the side, Kongyue with his ulti back up and available again. This 4.5 item Kiana is wanting to pounce. Clement, how many 3-4-man ultis can you have in a game? As DCG are once again low and Driver's ready for the cleanup. He too has resets as he runs right at the rest of the members. Nesty will drop, so will Hana, and Leaky going airborne for the time being, lands to his death. J-Team pull it together, Clement, and I've never seen so many consistent ultis from Kongyue.
Oh boy, Kongyue just making this look easy, turning it into a massacre here against DCG. Another big ultimate, he attacks the entire backline again. And this time Kriskata doesn't have the summoners to really get out of there easily at all, so forces everyone back. He's going in again!
And he's dead. And he's dead, and the turret will take him into GA, but Kongyue has done enough. 5-0 and 8. Lil V's range at the max, and J-Team with a couple of clutch team fights, couple of clutch ultis, secure their first win of the PCS summer.
Oh, what a beautiful match coming in from J-Team, and Kongyue with the Kiana, the surprise pick coming in here, just getting everything done. I felt like the lethality build would gradually fall off, but he was able to hit the backline every single time. So if you're hitting the backline, the lethality actually doesn't degenerate as much as you think it does. So really nicely done here by Kongyue, just able to pick the right targets. And I think a huge part was just how fast they executed everything. Like, if you think about running through Swain, running through Cannon Barrage and GP, it's not always an easy thing to do. There's also a Nami there that can tidal wave you, Aqua Prison, all that stuff, but none of it mattered when you just pull the trigger.